You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of June 25th, 2017, episode 42. From the land of clear sinuses and no stuffed up noses, I am Chris Powell.
And from the city by the Salish Sea, I'm AJ Barce. On this episode, Chris and I are going to tell you where you should pack your bags and go for that weekend trip. Also, I've got a couple of things that caught my eye from E3, so gamers, stay tuned. All that and more next on BPM Tech.
I got to tell you, I'm getting used to this inverted intro initiative that we have going on here.
I endorse this message, Mr. Powell. How you doing?
Not bad. It's good to be outdoors. We are on location. AJ Barce, where the heck are we?
We are by the Hotel Bellwether at the, what is it called? The
Tom Glen Common.
The Tom Glen Commons.
Yes.
I got beautiful blue sky, sunshine, and getting my sun on. And, man, hopefully we don't have any issues with that seagull that's looking pretty angry at us.
Yeah, no, it washes out. So, should anything happen. Anyway, I'm officially over my cold. Thank you very much. And notice you still got a little bit of a residual cough.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just, I think it's more hay fever type of thing. I went from the cold to, yay, it's summer, and so is allergy season.
All right. Well, on the good news front, I am sporting a new watch band to go with the Seiko 007. That it's gray and black because gray is an auxiliary color, but not all black.
It's an auxiliary shade.
That's right. And so this is a NATO strap.
Yes.
And it's working out all right so far, and got a little bit of comments as far as, hey, is that a new watch? And so it does attract a little bit of attention. But anyway, you got anything going on? It looks like you have a new strap as well.
Yeah, you and I both rocking the G10 NATOs here. So yours is actually a Bond.
Of course it would be.
It's a new Bond. So if you're familiar with Bond NATOs, it's the black and gray, which I refer to as the Spectre NATO because it's the current James Bond uses that.
Yes.
I think the color scheme actually came from Omega. Mine, on the other hand, is a modded. I even mod my straps, Chris.
Of course.
It's a leather strap made by a company called Infantry. You can find them on the Amazon and the eBay. They're not anything fancy or anything special or anything local by any stretch of the imagination. The only reason why I like them is that it fits my wrist. Like, if I put it on the, 6th notch in, it fits my wrist exactly perfect with their leather NATO. It's the only reason why I go with them. It is yours, it's a 5-ring, which means it's got the buckle, 2 rings on one side, and 2 rings on the other, because NATO, the history of NATO, you have to have redundancies, because it was military and, issue, that other stuff. I hate the 5th ring because it makes me jingle. So I took the other ring off, and it's really simple of a mod because the ring, you just bend it and take it off.
You put the C in customization.
I do because I want to be comfy,
yes.
And comfy starts with a C.
It does. And also along the lines with NATO, weird, quirky fact that I don't know if you're going to edit this out in the show or not, AJ, but I realized that I really don't know much of the NATO phonetic alphabet.
Oh.
Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. Yeah. You know it. I don't know it. And so, therefore, I'm trying to figure it out this summer. Because when I say Whiskey Tango Hotel, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Whiskey Tango
Anyway,
Hotel.
It's been rather interesting to check out the NATO phonetic alphabet. So, on the big show, we were going to talk about
weekending.
Taking a getaway, since we're in the nice weather season.
Yep.
For the next 2 weeks here in the
hopefully longer.
Hopefully 98225. We will be able to take some time away, go on the weekends to get out of town.
Before we go, one, you're listening to Bellingham Podcast Media Tech on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Low power.
Community radio here in Bellingham, Washington. Now, with that said and done, before we do, you have to pack your bag.
Yes.
So, before we even go to our top 3 destinations for you and me, what is your bag for a weekend?
My bag for a weekend, so naturally I don't pack heavily.
This is my shocked face.
Yes, but I don't really take many trips that involve lots of flights or a lot of distance and for a lot of time. So I like those little 360 spinner bags, the suitcases that have the little handle and can pivot around in 360 degrees. They're really looking slick in airports. However, for a weekend getaway, which is only about 2 days, I think. 2
or
3 days.
3 days, yeah. Long weekend.
There's a company online called Cargo Works, and they're here in America, and they have a duffel bag that I really have enjoyed. It's got 3 side pockets to be able to store your ammunition clips or your plane ticket or your cell phone or any particular chewing gum that you might need to put in there to have quick access.
And a lot of chewing gum.
And the Cargo Works duffel bag, it's got enough for me to store my clothes neatly packed.
Great.
And it's about maybe $50 online or so.
Cool.
How about you, AJ? What's your bag weapon of choice?
I think I've mentioned it on the show, but I've never really gotten in depth with it. It's made by the company Timbuk2 with the number 2.
Yes.
And it's called the Navigator, and it comes in small, medium, and large. And I have the small. And what's great about this thing is $100. You can get it on Timbuk2's website. Usually, if you sign up for their newsletter, you can get a percentage off, which is what I would probably encourage most listeners to try. But no, Timbuk2, they back their bags with a lifetime warranty and stuff, which is groovy. We've talked about that at nauseum on this show of Buy It Once. This bag has been 3/4 around the world. It's been from the United States, across our 50 states, or at least the 20 or so I've hit. It's been over to Europe. Several countries there, been over to Japan. Hey, Danny. It is an awesome bag for one reason. I pack light as well, so does my wife. It is a duffel that also has tucked away straps to become a backpack.
Convertible.
Exactly.
There you go.
So if you have to hustle in the airports, because I do like to take on the airplanes, you can just, pop these on, clip them. They have these really cool Timbuk2, I'm going to call them S-lock hooks, where basically they go in, they latch on. And you can throw that over your back and just, haul to
Yes.
run to grab your flight before the gate closes. The other cool thing is it for the small, and I am not an airplane official, nor do I play one on podcast, but this bag is easy to just take on most international and national flights.
It meets that little squarish bin that you got to make everything fit
Up
into.
above your head, absolutely. I've never had a problem with it, even packed to the hilt.
Absolutely.
It's usually, and I think packed to the hilt, it's smaller than those 360 roller bags that you just mentioned that
Yes.
most people bonk your head with when they put them in the overhead bin. But no, for $100, $99 on Timbuk2, you really can't go wrong. The only, it recently got a remodel. The bag that I have, which is the black tactical looking one with
There is
orange,
no other color. Yes.
with bright orange piping, that has now gone by the wayside in favor of black on black,
I like it.
believe. And there's 2 front pockets, and now in mine they're equal size. On the new one, there's a small one and a big one, so that might maybe for bigger phones like yours. That's probably the reason why they did it. But the bag itself. The one thing, and I've mentioned this actually in Timbuktu, in Portland, actually. I went to the Timbuktu store. The one gripe I have about the bag is the shoulder straps. If you're packed light, those shoulder straps have enough padding, it's fine. But if you're packed to the hilt, if you're doing a 3-week type of tour, yeah, you want to get on Amazon and buy some of those padded neoprene. Usually you find them for seatbelt shoulder strap things. Buy a 2-pack of those on Amazon and put it on this bag, and it is super, super comfy. I recently did that when I went to Japan.
Good hack. Good hack.
So, pack our bags. Where are we going, Chris?
Okay, so I'll go first on this one. And I would say the first one, so if you're leaving Bellingham and Whatcom County and getting out of town, drive about maybe 25 miles due south on Interstate 5. And then head west. And around that place, you will see a little town called LaConner.
Oh, LaConner.
LaConner, Laconnor, I believe. And LaConner is a wonderful little water town. It's got a wonderful little promenade main street with some tourist trap type antique stores, another beautiful wine store, lots of wonderful little shops.
It's near the Swinomish Nation, isn't it?
Very close to that, yes.
Yeah.
It's along that way. It's a wonderful drive. You're going to be out in rural Skagit County on your way, and that's pretty cool. So, but one of the things that I do like about LaConner is they have a lunchtime boat cruise that goes underneath Deception Pass.
Ooh.
And so this is a wonderful opportunity for family, or if you have guests visiting from out of town, here's a great place to take them for lunch, and they can see a little bit more of this beautiful area in which we live, albeit one county south of Whatcom. So that's pretty much a place for a day trip where you may not need to stay overnight. They do have wonderful bed and breakfast up there as well in LaConner, but I would say for an excursion, that would be a great place to go. So LaConner's number one on me. How about you?
Yeah, so I just like heading up towards Anacortes and hopping a ferry and hitting our San Juan Islands. And out there is, on San Juan Island itself, there is a cool state park called Lime Kiln Lighthouse Park.
Aha.
I'm going to give a shameless plug and shout out to the Washington State Parks Foundation, WSPF. I've mentioned them before on my Patreon. I just want to give them a shout out here because they're a Washington State Parks Foundation.
And they need to get a shout out because national parks are awesome.
Heck yeah, tech yeah. So anyway, out there, and if you do a search for WSPF and then my first and last name, you will find a guest authored article that I wrote for the Washington State Parks Foundation on my top 5 photographic Washington State parks that I encourage people to go visit.
Nice.
One of which is Lime Kiln. It is a cool little lighthouse when you go out there, and also if you have wee ones, there's really light hiking that you can do, and you can go and find the actual lime kilns that are still on the island. Kind of explore and, get your inner Indiana Jones on.
And that way the little kiddos will be all exhausted from all the fun time that they can have running on somewhat flat ground.
You know my psychology well.
I'm on to you, doctor.
Yep. And from there also they have a observation for the pods of orcas that come through the straits and stuff, and just really cool, really pretty. And it's just a hop, skip, and a ferry ride away. So that's my first. What about you? What's your next destination?
Well, my next destination is one that I just got back from. And so I went with a little retreat with my wife to what is known as Cedar Springs Christian Retreat Center.
Where's that at?
It is in Sumas, Washington, which is a border town.
Got it.
Northeast Whatcom County. It's about a 20-mile drive outside of Bellingham. And that place, speaking of a whole new world, when you really want to get away from traffic and the throngs and hordes of people at Costco or the grocery store on a weekend.
Earliest stores that rhyme with schmoshko.
Yeah, that too. This is a place where, oh my goodness, the landscaping is so ornate. There are so many places, little nooks, little spots to be able to sit and just be and contemplate and ponder and rest. When they say a retreat center, they mean it. And I had a wonderful time with my wife. We were there for a couple days and really was able to disengage and didn't do a lot of tech stuff, which is what you need to have in life balance, work-life balance, and life-life balance.
Especially for us tech.
That's right. So Cedar Springs Christian Retreat Center, it's a wonderful place. If you're thinking about that, I definitely recommend Googling it or checking it out. Their accommodations are a little outside of the modern contemporary style. They may be of the 70s or 80s carpeting and or features, but you're not really there to stay in the room when you're in beautiful weather. You want to get out.
Right.
And it's just so many places. We actually went on a what is an hour and a half hike, and you know me, AJ. I prefer to run through a building than hike around it.
Yeah.
And so we went on an hour and a half hike. It was about 6 miles total.
Nice, Chris.
Went up 650 feet elevation to pretty much the top of a mountain lookout. And I thought I saw some goats passing me by and how steep the incline was. Or some rams were butting heads on the hillside having a...
Did you need an oxygen mask?
Here's the thing, though. I got 7 out of 10 on my puke scale just from the exertion because I'm not used to going uphill that much.
I feel you.
Stair stepper in a gym is one thing, but I would say on my tracker, which is the Fitbit tracker, I had 57 floors. And with 57 floors, I'm comparing that to the Columbia Tower in Seattle, which has 75 floors. And so...
Good randomoid fact.
Yeah, I got plenty of randomoid. It's a funny thing there, Narmi. Back in the 1950s, the Germans invaded Pearl Harbor and... No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
No, anyway. But anyway, it was a wonderful hike. Got to look over the Sumas, Abbotsford Valley. And oh my goodness, it is wonderful to be up that high and just watch cars like ants, like little matchbox cars roll by. I got to watch eagles and hawks coast from above them, and that was pretty special. So anyway, Cedar Springs Christian Retreat Center, that's my number 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is if there's a little bit of a theme with me because I like where we live.
Yes.
I mean, the whole premise of the show and Bellingham, and I love our bay, and I love everything that is Puget Sound, Salish Sea. you name it. I love it. We have the best thing we can go from sea to ski,
yes.
no pun intended, intended here, in an hour and a half,
Pretty
any
much.
direction.
Yep.
So along those same lines, sticking with around the water, if you head the same direction that I mentioned before, towards Anacortes on the I-5 and then take that exit, you will actually, instead of heading towards Anacortes, if you turn left, you're going to go headed towards that Deception Pass bridge that you mentioned.
Yes.
And you're going to cross it, and you're going to go to a little place called Whidbey Island.
Oh, I love it. I know it well.
So on Whidbey Island, if you were heading towards the Keystone Ferry, which is one of the few ferries in Washington State that you can make a reservation on, and I would encourage listeners to do that if you're planning on going to places like Port Townsend or Sequim or anything like that on the other peninsula, do make a reservation because that boat gets full on weekends.
Yeah, plan ahead, folks.
Yes.
This is a public service announcement from your guys at BPM Tech.
And of course, there is a tech tie here because the Washington State Department of Transportation does have an app for your phone. Please download it because you can also make the reservation on the go.
We like that.
So that's
Whidbey
a little
Island.
tech tie. Yep. If you go to Whidbey Island, there is a little town called Coupeville.
Two-door Coupeville.
Two-door Coupeville.
Deuce Coupeville.
I love Coupeville.
Yeah, that's great.
It's just this small maritime village. I won't even call them a town. It's a village. There's a little lookout that you can hike up to. There is a great ice cream joint. There is a little marina, or I guess a parkade that goes out to a little marina with a big red building where they have skeletons of a whale and a sea lion. So if you have kiddos, it's cool.
That will make them gape in wonder.
Yep. The place I'm going to highlight there is just a place that I've frequented over the years. It's called Need and Feed, like you need Kneed bread.
Okay.
Need and Feed. They have an awesome cafe. They have awesome bread. They have an awesome restaurant around the other side of their breadery, neatery,
Yes.
granary, boulangerie.
Oh.
They are the goods, Chris. If you haven't eaten there, I would encourage you to. Even if you have toast, it is awesome.
They get toast right.
They get toast right. But no, Need and Feed over in Coupeville. If you're listening, you are the goods in my book, and thank you for many, many years of good food.
All right. So Coupeville on Whidbey Island.
Coupeville and Whidbey.
My third, and this is in no particular order, by the way.
No.
Yeah, in no particular order. But my number 3, you actually mentioned it, is my hometown where I grew up, pretty much. And that is Sequim, or if you're not from the area, Sequim. That's right. It's on the Olympic Peninsula, and it's about 15 miles east of Port Angeles and about 15 miles west of Port Townsend. And to get there from Bellingham, you would want to take a ferry through Whidbey Island and make a reservation ahead because it will get booked up. But once you get there, it's changed a lot since I was a little shaver in 1981.
I just passed through your hometown.
Yes. And boy, it's changed a lot. But
it has.
For a day trip with the family, and we're thinking about family right now, there are 2 main sites that whenever I had visitors come visit, I would always take them to 2 places. Number 1 is the Olympic Game Farm.
Oh, yes.
And that is a drive yourself tour, like a DIY drive in your car tour of acres of land where wild animals exist,
where the deer and the antelope play,
and they beg for bread.
Yeah,
and you can see bears. The Olympic Game Farm in Sequim, Washington, folks, often have those animals in television commercials. They are specifically brought in for TV commercials.
Didn't know that.
Yes, like one of like there was a big commercial in the 80s for Toyota, how there was a bear on a iceberg or something like that, talking about the new Toyota Tercel or whatever it was. And that bear was from the Olympic Game Farm.
Oh, cool.
A couple things to keep in mind. 1, don't roll your window down completely when you are around yaks, because they will come into your window because they are trained and they're used to getting bread. And I'll get to that in a second. They're getting bread from the cars that pass by, and they're not bashful. They will come in, and if you have your window kind of halfway up, they will lick your window.
Hello.
It's highly entertaining for the kids in the back seat. 1, they will either have nightmares in the future, which probably won't happen, or they'll be like, that was awesome.
Or they'll become a veterinarian.
Number 2, save yourself a little bit of cash from the admittance fee and bring 2 or 3 loaves of bread. They will go quickly. This is what you can toss to the bears. No, they won't come up to your car because that would be bad. But there are animals that come out and you can feed them bread pieces. That's number 1 in Sequim. The second place I take them is to the Dungeness Spit. And no, this is not an expectorant tourist site. This is the world's largest natural spit, thank you very much, in Sequim, Washington, my hometown, my old stomping grounds. You would park in a national park area. I believe it's the Dungeness National Wildlife Refuge, and pay your fee. Always pay your fee. Support your national parks. You hear me? And so once you get there, you got about maybe a mile or so hike through this beautiful forest. And when you emerge, you see the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which leads to the Pacific Ocean. And from there, you're going to descend, a heck of a lot. So those of y'all who may have relatives who may not do well climbing uphill or on a steep incline, do take note. This may be a little bit of a difficult climb for them to walk down and walk up again. But once you're there, miles and miles of beach, about a 4-mile spit or beach area. And it's wonderful in this time of year just to forage. I don't know if that's the right term, to explore, to throw rocks, adventure yourself out, adventure your brains out at the Dungeness Spit. So Sequim, Washington, it's accessible via Highway 101 or from taking the Whidbey Island Ferry to Port Townsend. Number 3 for you, AJ.
Number 3, and again, in no particular order, my last one requires a passport or enhanced driver's license because we're going north on the I-5.
Okay.
We're going to go north. We're going to pass the wonderful Canadian border. We're going to keep going. We're going to go past Vancouver. Sup, Vancouver. Sup, Grey NATO.
Hello.
We're going to keep going. And then we're going to keep going until we hit the Sea to Sky Highway.
Sea to Sky Highway, okay.
So like I said, I'm my theme for my picks are very much around our sea.
Yes.
And I mean our as in the North American continent, sea. Yep. We're going to keep going. And when you hit the Sea to Sky Highway, first of all, amazing drive. Just cruise, don't go fast, and just enjoy, especially on a day like today, enjoy the ride.
There is no rush.
Yep, there is no rush. There is cultural heritage points, especially for their First Nations peoples, in they spell them out in both Canadian English as well as their Indigenous peoples language.
Excellent.
Which is cool. Yep. So great learning opportunity for young and old. It's awesome. And if you keep going, and about halfway up the drive, I guess, because it's a fairly long drive. You can go as far as you'd like. There, you'll notice that there is you'll pass a mining museum. I never stopped there. Probably going to be there on one of these trips. Just past that is a gondola.
Yes.
And you take the Sea to Sky gondola up to the top of it. I don't know the name of that mountain. But when you get up there, it is remarkable. First of all, you have lots of suspension bridges. Really nice suspension bridges.
Safe, hopefully.
Very safe.
Okay,
Not
cool.
very wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey. Very safe, very nice, sturdy. It is just fun for the whole family. You just walk around going from mountaintop to mountaintop via these large suspension bridges. Great photo-opping, Snapchatting, Insta-facing, whatever. It is great. But go up there. You can grab a bite to eat. They got a restaurant up there. But you can hike, and all of the trails range from aggressive, you start at the bottom, I don't need a gondola, rawr, to just toolie around.
Just out of curiosity, is that involving the grouse grind, or is that a different?
I'm not too sure.
I heard about the grouse grind and how that follows up a tram.
Yes.
This totally a side note. I have no idea what I'm talking about because I am not a hiker.
Or Canadian.
Or that too. But anyway, I was just figuring out, hey, by the way, if you happen to know if the grouse grind is along the way of the Sea to Sky Highway, send us a tweet at hashtag
Sea to Sky Gondola.
Sea to Sky Gondola. Give us a hashtag tweet, hashtag BHAM podcast, and set me straight. Let me know if I'm talking out my butt like usual, or if this is actually the grouse grind is part of this. Sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
Okay. Anyway, once you're up there, it's great views. You can see all the way around up there. There is a waterfall. It wasn't when I went up there, just because of Mother Nature and whatever's going on with our Mother Nature right now. But great views, just a fun experience. Not a lot of time or not a lot of money required.
Excellent. But one thing to keep in mind as you have completed your Sea to Sky, I keep on want to say ski to sea.
I know. I have to pause too.
You do want to keep in mind to go to the bathroom before you head home across the border, because you may encounter a 90 to 120 to 240 minute wait.
Yes.
At the Canadian-American border.
Any of the border crossings.
Hashtag just saying.
Just saying. Yeah. Last time we came across, it took me over an hour to cross.
Keep that in mind,
missed
folks.
An appointment.
Yeah, we want to prepare you for success.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yeah. So do check your border times.
While we love Bellingham, here's a couple ideas to do once you have a chance to get out of Bellingham.
Word.
Yes.
And regardless if you're in Bellingham or maybe even across the border, hello, Canada.
Hello, Canada.
Maybe you're tuning into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech on KMRE 102.3 FM.
Low power.
Low power.
Right on. So now we got a little section. Dun, 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 tech that caught our eye.
Yeah.
So also, hashtag BHAM podcast. If you like the jingles, let us know. We monitor that hashtag on Twitter.
They're done live every recording.
And I really don't have any planning for that. So, AJ, you mentioned in the intro that you handily crafted that you have some technology that caught your eye from E3. Now, first of all, what is E3?
E3 is actually, I think it's now called E3. It used to be short for the Electronic Entertainment Expo.
Awesome.
It is the big Game-a-palooza of the year.
Excellent.
So, yeah. You have all the heavy hitters: Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, Atari. Mm-hmm. Everybody who is in the electronic entertainment biz, they're there. Ubisoft, all the game developers, the who's who and the what's what is there. I'm not going to dedicate a show to E3 because it's like a week-long fest. You can listen to several podcasts and read all about it, depending on what type of gamer you are, because there are rivalries. Whether you're a Xbox person or a Nintendo Switch aficionado or a PS4
I
lover.
drive a Chevy. No, I drive a Dodge. No, I drive a Ford. They're all awesome.
Exactly. But the tech that caught my eye out of the conference, basically Xbox, Microsoft, they announced their new iteration of the Xbox console. It's still based off of their Xbox One, and in traditional Microsoft fashion, they have horrible naming conventions, so it's called the Xbox One X.
Why? No, X.
Yeah, Xbox One, spelt out one, X. You're probably going to see a lot, even on the 5 o'clock news about this thing, because it will catch your eye because it is $500.
And what is a normal, for those of us that are not in the know about gaming consoles, what's a typical price for a gaming console, AJ?
Well, the current gen, which is the PS4, the Xbox One, or the PS4 Pro, and I'll get to that in a second, and now the Xbox One X, you're ranging anywhere from $250 to $300 a console, depending on how it's spec'd with the hard drive, because they can come in different variants. Or bundled, especially around the holiday season. Some restrictions apply. I see store for details, but usually looking around the sub $300 category. The thing is about the current iteration, I'm not calling it the new console, it's just an iteration of what is current. It's still quasi the same platform. They bumped the specs where both of these both of their previous predecessors, current successors, whatever, the contemporary consoles right now are sub 4K, so that 4 times high def, but all the consoles right now are 1080p. You hear that a lot. Televisions are 1080p. They're ramping up for 4K, so their consoles are now steroided out. For $500, the thing that, if you look at it or the PS4 Pro, which is $100 cheaper, these are consoles that are 4K ready, for gaming, and also looking at the future of like Blu-ray and what that's going to look like for consuming content as well. The thing is, if you see this and you're like, oh man, I just bought a PS1 or not PS1. That would be funny. That would be 1991. They called and they want their console back. I have a PS4. Oh man, our PS4 Pro. Oh, and I want to get the Xbox. No, you don't have to do that. The thing is, ask yourself, do I have a 4K TV? If your self says, no, you don't, you have a 1080p television, guess what? You don't need either the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X.
And if you have a 720p TV, does that mean that you get a 4K?
No.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's the thing, is that they are prepping for the future. Like, you may remember a few years back, 3D televisions were a thing, and where did that go?
Where did it go?
If you hear crickets, that's where it went. Again, the 4K is coming. It's on the horizon. Even Netflix has some 4K content. But again, these consoles, you are your guinea pigs if you decide to go down this road. Or if you're a hardcore gamer, you're probably listening to me and hating me. You can send all hate tweets to hashtag BHAMPodcast. Full disclosure, I am a PS4 gamer. So is my wife. I also have a Nintendo DS, 3DS, and pretty much every console all the way back to the Atari 2600. The thing is, what I would tell anybody is you buy a console based off the games, the stories that you want to play. For me, it's Uncharted, it's Lara Croft Tomb Raider, and I like the Sony ecosystem. I like the PlayStation. So that's the things from E3 is that take a look at the future of the iteration futures of the consoles of both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One X, and ask yourself, do you have a 4K TV? If you do, and you're a hardcore gamer and you want to see the upscaled graphics, go for it. But if you're the rest of us who are mere mortals that cannot afford a 4K TV, the current gen consoles are just fine. Play the games you enjoy. Yeah. So, again, E3, you can, two sources I'll throw out real quick at the close of the show. 2 other podcasts you might want to listen to if you want to listen to like very in-depth, hyper nerdy breakdowns of the show. That is not me, because we are not journalists in the game industry, nor do we play one on podcast.
And we only have 30 minutes, yo.
Yeah. So 2 shows if you want to take a look at. Kotaku, which also has a website. They have a podcast called Split Screen. They have a day-by-day breakdown of all the announcements, and also they talk to some of the developers of the heavy-hitting titles. Also, you can take a listen to the, I believe it's called the Player One podcast. Not Ready Player One, Player One podcast. I think it's the longest standing gaming podcast in podcast land, I think. Don't quote me on that. Listen to those 2 shows for the last week or 2, and you'll get caught up if you really want to nerd out, because here at BPM, we're not going to.
We are nerds, but we don't choose to nerd out in this case.
Yep.
So we're going to wrap up this show. Thank you so much for listening, and it's been fun to be out here in the Tom Glen Common in the Bellwether by the Bay. Is that how Bellwether by the Bay? Why not?
Sure, we'll make it a thing.
Sounds good. If you are listening to us, we are so happy that you are subscribing to us on the iTunes Store or on the Google Play Store, or if you're listening to us on SoundCloud, thanks very much. If you're on Spreaker, Spreaker, thanks again for listening in. We do appreciate it. We love those analytics where we see people, it's like, oh, we had a couple more downloads this week or a couple more listens. That really fuels us. It encourages us. We appreciate it. So with that in mind, episode 42, isn't that the answer to life?
Absolutely.
The 42.
I'm going to be hitchhiking my way through the galaxy after this.
That's right. So firing up the engine to go hitchhiking along a galaxy. I am Chris Powell. Thanks for listening.
Engage, and I'm AJ Barsay. We'll see you next week.